Did we have a call scheduled last week? Anybody?
We had this week and the IAW last week.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, evening, afternoon, and night.
Okay, just give me a second, just finishing a second. Okay, good morning, everyone. Let me just stop my... Okay, welcome to another session of the Crypto Hour. Let me just work for meeting a few more people. Good morning, Duncan. Okay. We're just about to start. Just give me a second. Duncan, if I'll just type in the box, the chat box, the YouTube link. For some reason, the streaming service is not working as it should be. So excuse me if it took a couple of minutes. I have to sort things out manually. Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Let me start again. And you know, there's quite a few things to talk about this morning, but it would be strange not to start talking about the you know, the war in Ukraine, because it has affected a lot of the things that are going on this week. Now, the interesting thing is we can talk about the war in Ukraine, obviously, you know, without going into the details, but the effects that it had on the global economy, you know, in a way, both on a positive and a negative note, in the sense that it has affected the market quite strongly, but also is at the same time is making the case for crypto adoption as well on the other side. So you know, what first of all we got to consider as well, because not just for now, but for the you know, for the months to come, you know, what not only the war, but also what the sanctions will mean for you know, for the global economy on a macroeconomic level, but also, you know, what does it mean from the point of view of you know, this is the first time that an alternative monetary system has been available in times of in times of chaos like they are at the moment, where you know, we have news this morning of a Russian attack on a nuclear power station. And you know, obviously we are here in the UK, and we, you know, I am old enough to remember the disaster of Chernobyl, and what it meant for us all in Europe, and we could just about to be facing something similar. Now, obviously, these things don't come without consequences. Although you know, we are talking here about crypto, obviously these are more the more wide, far-reaching consequences than just the crypto markets. So first of all, you know, I would like to show. Let me start sharing my screen. First of all, to see what it looks like in the market first. And let me just cancel this, move this away. So, I mean, in here, this is just a simple Bitcoin chart, okay? As you would have seen plenty of time. I mean, in here, the vertical line is the start of you know, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and as you can see, you know, when these things happen, generally, there's always the market's always price in what's about to happen just a few days before. You know, as you can see, the actual decline in price was the week before, when everybody was when the rumors were spreading about the invasion, and actually when the invasion happened, the opposite effect of what people were expecting actually happened, because Bitcoin had been going down, and then, you know, there was this big wick here. You know, the price actually spiking down on the day of the invasion, you know, because the dominant emotions in the market is fear. But then, as you can see, you know, the price started going up. And what happened here? You can see this huge green candle. Okay, this is the Monday the 28th, and what happened on that day? You know, if you can remember, is that on Monday.
Nou, kan je je geluid uit doen of een oortje in doen?
Sorry, can you please mute? Just make sure that you're all muted on the call. I'm getting some background noise. Obviously, somebody had to mute themselves. Okay, so what happened on this big green candle is that you know, obviously the invasion had been going for about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and what Russia was thinking that obviously maybe, you know, it would all be settled by the weekend, you know, by the Sunday, and just the day before the market reopened. It actually didn't work out that way. Obviously, the Ukrainian resistance is carrying on very strongly. But what happened on the Monday is that the markets reopened. Okay, and so both, I was thinking from, this is the case really for crypto. Okay, because all of a sudden, you know, people in Russia woke up to not being able to do much with their money. You know, we all heard about the you know, the disaster basically of some of the banks, some of the banks that they actually crashed because they were hit very, very strongly by sanctions. And both people in Russia and Ukraine actually resorted to buying cryptocurrency quite heavily because of not being able to do much with the fiat money that they had. Now the thing is that, you know, you're in Ukraine, and sometimes, you know, people wanted to access things quickly, and what is fiat money worth if somebody's not willing to accept it as a means of exchange. Okay, so this is the first time actually that cryptocurrencies have been heralded as a solution for you know, periods of high uncertainty, when something that is not controlled by any particular entity is then valued and being used as a safe haven in a way to be able to still take your assets with you. In the case of Ukrainian people, and we know that over 1 million have already fled the war zone. It's been kind of the fastest exodus ever recorded in situation like this. Now think about it: these people that have to leave everything behind and just basically run away with a suitcase if they can. This is a solution that can allow them to take their value with them. And the same way for Russia, because now they couldn't do much with the ruble, and with the ruble dropping very, very fast in value as well against Western currencies, they wanted to have something that could hold their value, in times like this. And so this is the green candle. This is why Bitcoin kind of raised so high from 37 to 44,000 within 24 hours, which is a very, very very strong day, let's say, for Bitcoin. But it's not so much a cryptocurrency related growth because of things that were happening in the cryptocurrency world. This is very much a macroeconomic movement that depends on what was going on across the world. And when the sanctions really started to hit the people like me and you, they found themselves that couldn't really access their bank accounts. You've all seen the queues in Russia, people trying to just get into the bank and take some money out. It was very, very, very difficult. So this is, in a way, the case has been made by the events on why it is important to have an independent monetary system that nobody can control. On the sanctions, let me just stop the sharing and then I'll carry on again. But on the sanctions side, and why it is so important as well to understand this, is what we're looking forward to in the next 4, 5, 6 months. Whatever we might think about the sanctions and trying to curb what Russia are trying to do, which is obviously what we all potentially is what most of the world outside of the conflict wants to happen, wants an end to the shelling, end to the war, end to this senseless waste of human life. But on a practical level, it means that there is less commerce going on. That means that there is the ships are stopped from making deliveries, and generally it is going to affect the whole world in terms of volumes of trade. So 3 months, 6 months down the line, this will then start showing in GDP numbers, in international commerce numbers. So we can look forward generally to a lower world GDP in 2022 because of this. It's not just what Russia consumes, is what Russia uses in terms of product, but it's kind of like it's the way the money flows in the system, and it affects the velocity of money. Now, if you think about it, the $1 bill has a very different effect if you put it under your mattress or if you spend it to buy something, because the dollar bill that you spend to buy something, and it's used from the person that receives it to buy something else and then to buy something else. So, even $1 bill can create $10, $15, $20 worth of economic activity. Okay, and now where all these funds in Russia, they are very, very limited in what they can do with it, and the amount of countries that are willing to trade with them, it means that this money is not churning around as it normally would. So the economic activity generated from it is down. Okay, so this may affect the share markets, in the medium to long term. It can also affect the futures market in terms of commodities, because Russia and Ukraine are very commodity rich. And obviously Ukraine is seen as the breadbasket of Europe, and Russia obviously produces a large amount of oil and natural gas that is used by a lot of Euros as well to power homes and power stations and so on and so forth. Okay, so I think we all feel it, and we're already feeling it in terms of price of petrol at the pumps in here in the UK, for example. It's my experience in prices of electricity and gas that we're paying for our homes. So nobody is really going to be immune to feeling the effects on this. Okay, so in a way, we got to be ready to navigate this as well as we can. Now, let's look at, these are kind of microeconomic musings that I'm talking to you about. Let's talk about what's happening instead in the crypto world, okay? Because as I said to you before, price is just one aspect of cryptocurrencies. They are now accepted as a kind of like as an asset class, but it's what's happening from the point of view of development of these basically these products that are at the really avant-garde of technology is carrying on at a at a very fast pace, regardless of what price is doing. Because when you think about it, whether it's developers in Bitcoin or Cardano or Ethereum. Sorry, they still got somebody with the mic open. Can you make sure that you're all muted, please? I'm getting some background noise. So whatever project you are thinking about, there are developers that are working on that project as a job, going to work every day and developing these products. Now, this work is going on, regardless of what price is doing, and the work as well of connecting these solutions, because this is what they are at the end of the day, to companies and to users, to end users like us, and to kind of like big, large institutional users, and whole nation countries are starting to use these solutions. This as well is carrying on regardless. And this is what I wanted to share with you next, and have some kind of like crypto talks apart from the what's happening in Ukraine. Okay, let me go to a few things that are highlighted for you. Let me just move this because it's in the way. Okay, one of the biggest news, and this is really important to understand what's to come. Okay, this is from maybe from my side of the world, from talking about Italy and Switzerland. They're talking about Lugano. City in Switzerland is one of probably the largest Italian-speaking cities outside of Italy. That is actually launching itself as they're wanting to launch Bitcoin, Terra, and their own cryptocurrency called LVGA as legal tender in Lugano. And why this? I mean, this is I've heard similar news from other parts of the world. Okay, this is just one city. It's not the whole country or Switzerland, but it is one city in Switzerland. But why I think this is important is that these are they're doing things the way that I've been talking to you about for the past 6 months. Okay, so in the fact that you not just being able to use Bitcoin to pay for public services, parking tickets, dog taxes, whatever you can think of, any fees that are connected with with the authorities and with the Lugano Council, but also they have really spent a lot of time bringing lots of retailers on board, so the retailers will accept all of these currencies as well as legal tender. So you'll be able really, you'll be able to go into your local coffee shop and buy your coffee in Terra and the local currency. and Bitcoin through the Lightning Network. So this is what I've been talking to you about, because in the sense that up to now, the use of cryptocurrency at the point of sale is being done through a exchange of the cryptocurrency for the local currency before, and then the retailer will get the usual currency they usually get. So it'll be pounds if they're in the UK, it will be dollars if they're in the US, and so on. So there used to be an interface between the buyer, at the shop and the seller. So the buyer will pay with the cryptocurrencies, and then the interface will exchange it for fiat money, and the retailer will get fiat money. This is different. And the retailer will get cryptocurrencies directly. So this is the meaning of being legal tender, that you can pay with it directly. You don't need to exchange it for something else. Okay, and this is very big in particular. I mean, this is Switzerland, is very, very rich country. Okay, but it is big in particular for third world countries and for developing countries, because when you're thinking about of what money represents for a country is liquidity to allow them to exchange value. Now, not everybody is able to have enough of it that is trusted for that people then want to use. And we will see in the case of El Salvador, for example, before adopting Bitcoin, their legal tender was the US dollar. They didn't have a national currency. They use the Bitcoin. So they're now starting to see, smaller countries are starting to see the value of having liquidity, but without having to give away the power to manage their economy to a third party like the US or the euro or whoever another strong currency may be that they may be using instead of creating their own currency. So this is news about Lugano, because obviously the Swiss are very thorough and do things in the right way. So I wanted to show you in a way what the future may look like in a few years' time. But this can is being talked about, especially in South America. There are very strong rumors that Mexico, which is obviously is not a small country, is a large country, may be considering adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. Now, if that was really to happen, and I don't know, at the moment they're just rumors, and these things may happen or not. But if that was really to happen, then that would probably start a cascading effect of smaller South American countries going the same way. Okay, and with, I'm not even talking about what the effect it would have on price, but I'm talking about what effect it will have on the economic system that's represented by Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies being almost like legitimized as a true alternative to fiat money. And as my view of the future is, that I share with you many times, is that this is a movement, kind of like it's a grassroots kind of movement, and it's kind of like it almost shows by a little country like El Salvador being a pioneer, the ones that is tried this for the first time, it's the kind of the snowball effect will start from a small country, and more small countries joining this kind of movement, and really proving that they can get a lot more utility out of this than the alternative solutions. So at the end of the day, everybody does things, whether it's a single person like me and you, or it's a nation state. They do things for their own for their own benefit. So they only make this move if they can see an advantage in doing that. Obviously, we make this decision personally. Obviously, a nation state does it for the benefit of its citizens. But nonetheless, they will only do this if there is a true advantage of doing this. Now, another big item that I need to bring to your attention, and you probably would have heard about it somewhere else, is eBay now. That is again, they've been doing this since 2014, but they are actually talking about that from next month, they will start integrating crypto payments on its platform. So we all know, again, it's not because, eBay will have a certain effect on the cryptocurrency world, but, who in this room hasn't had a dealing with eBay in one sort or another, whether you're selling something or you're buying something, or you're looking at stuff on eBay, for sale. This is another platform that is used by, hundreds of millions of people. And the fact that they, integrating cryptocurrencies in their system is another brick in the wall, it kind of like is another building the momentum of projects. They bring attention to crypto assets. And so they made it more, again, it's about legitimizing these things by bringing it to everybody's eyes. So there is not something that is out there and I don't know, I don't understand this crypto stuff. It will become, second nature to everybody, in the same way that you're using, you can use your euros or your, Australian dollars, US dollars to pay for stuff. Everybody will have some cryptos of one form or another, be able to use it to do their normal day-to-day activities without, and the complexity of it is taken away by all the projects they are developing. They are becoming more and more user-friendly because now they have the volume of users coming onto the market, and then it makes sense for people to spend resources creating a nice user interface that makes it easy for people to use cryptocurrencies in the same way that they've been kind of used to to having apps and dealing with apps on their smartphone. Okay, so this is what's where a lot of the developers' activity is going. Other things. This is another interesting thing, kind of like a fun. And now in metaverses are being created by this is the History Museum, the National History Museum, that's creating a metaverse with all ancient extinct creatures to bring reality, to bring as much science as possible into the metaverse, because they want these things to be realistic and for people to understand exactly how these creatures existed and environment and how they moved. And you can see now the power of this tool, which is the metaverse, to bring communities together, both of creator communities in this case is kind of like the museums, and the users, the consumers of this data that can get a different experience, from the usual walking into a museum, a more immersive experience of what it would be like to live in an environment where these creatures used to exist. Excuse me. So I will be going between. I'll speak for a few more minutes and then we'll open the questions. But a few more minutes about between fun things and things that are more fundamental crypto related. This is another thing that I want to concentrate on. I mean, most of you have heard about Terra. The token is Luna, and it's very strong. It's a very strong chain in decentralized finance. It's actually the second largest chain in total value locked, which is money deposited in DeFi. We can see here, if I go on to DeFi Llama, I can see again here, beginning of the year, where it was almost all Ethereum, 96%. Now Ethereum is down to about 55. And the second chain, as you can see, is Terra at 11%. Okay, so it is attracting a lot of capital. And also the interesting thing about this, the way I wanted to highlight this article, was talking about the Terra protocol will be one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. So, but not just the Bitcoin, but I was talking about wrapped tokens. So that means that sometimes people that have Bitcoin, for example, you could be in a proof of work blockchain, they're not able to get yield out of the Bitcoin. So the wrapping is being able to create a way of using your tokens on another blockchain, a token that wasn't meant originally to be used on that blockchain, so they can be used for, providing collateral for a loan, for example, or to, for borrowing and lending, or for other types of DeFi initiatives that can then create a yield out of these coins. In the same way, if you're thinking about Tether and the stable coins, they are a way of wrapping the fiat money so they can be used in the crypto world. So this is, in very, very, very simple terms, what the wrapping does. It helps you to use the an asset in another blockchain, and have a procedure that makes it possible to transfer things between different blockchains. So it is really interesting to see this phenomenon, because this is happening more and more and more. And if you see here, let me just move them. Now, this is talking about exactly that. Kind of the desire of token holders to leverage certain coins on decentralized apps native to other networks has given rise to cross-chain wrapped assets like wrapped BTC and wrapped Ethereum. So what this synthetic assets represent is tokenized versions of the wrapped asset, and that is pegged to the value of the original. So this is the same thing that USDT and USDC allow users to wrap the dollar for use then in crypto, in decentralized finance. Wrapped Bitcoin or Ethereum allows coins that live in one chain to be used on another. Okay, so what is this doing then? Is allowing certain tokens to access different communities, okay, of token holders. And see, so this is really the start of the way that practically these Web3 wallets are being used, and all the difference between all these different blockchains is almost like slowly the barriers to entry are being reduced, so they can become easier and easier to move your assets around. And you can see these multi-chain bridge protocols are now at an all-time high in terms of volume, as users take advantage of these of the low-cost transfers of value between many different networks. Let's see. Let me go on to something else. Now, this is kind of like a word of warning, and something that we have seen. Obviously, it is still related to the war in Ukraine, and there has been kind of like a from many different places they wanted to stop Russia access the crypto market as well. But at one point we got to understand that we are building a decentralized world, and something like this is very worrying, because MetaMask is the leading decentralized wallet, and the worry from many people that there is this capabilities of really cutting off users in certain regions is something that made many people stop and think, because it makes you realize, this word that we use all the time in crypto, decentralized, how decentralized is really are really cryptocurrencies and different cryptocurrency projects. Because if there is somebody that's got like a switch on and switch off key, then that's not a decentralized network. And as much as we don't like certain people using it, it's it's important as well that we understand what the settings are of the protocols that we're interacting with. Okay, and this is why again, we keep saying we are all in a kind of like in a boom phase in cryptocurrency. We're all getting excited about all these projects being launched. Okay, but there will be a stage when cryptocurrency comes of age, and then the projects that will emerge are the ones that are the adults in the room, the ones that are not going maybe for the hype, and doing things simply to get to attract users on boards with gimmicks and marketing ploys, are the ones that creating solid protocols that would be able to have an answer to something like this, and thinking this will not happen in our network because we planned for it. Okay, as much as we want to, we would love to be able to switch off access from from Russia, but this is the way that many institutions, many different countries, whether it's the US, the UK, or many different countries across the world, have introduced freedom limiting initiatives. And the last one being in Canada, as we're not going about talking about the trackers blockade again, but this is what happens, is that all these limiting powers are being brought in as extraordinary powers, limited in time, then they become permanent. And then things that we have, our fathers and grandfathers had fought for in wars to get these rights are being taken away from us without even realizing. Okay, so this is important, why it is, these things matter, why decentralization matter. Okay, and because we don't want a single user, whoever that user may be, the ability to control our access to a decentralized monetary system, really. Okay, another thing is, I couldn't do a crypto hour without talking a little bit about Cardano. But this is interesting that now the kind of like the whales are starting to pay attention to Cardano, and showing that the number of addresses holding from 100,000 to 1 million ADA have been very, very active, buying over 16 million ADA in the last 24 hours. Okay, so this is kind of thing, you make what you want out of it, you just pay attention to it or not, whatever, depending on your analysis. But I said to you before that the real activity, when I'm talking about marketing or talking about real stuff, okay, if you look at what's really happening on the blockchains, then in terms of total value exchange with transaction on the blockchain, Cardano at the moment is by far the number one blockchain, and and new projects are now, the dApps are deploying on Cardano now. They have time, since the smart contracts were released in September. They have now time to develop these dApps, and are coming to the market thick and fast. Okay, so you will see this project being more relevant in DeFi and in other sectors as well as the ecosystem develops. This is again on the same thing that we're talking about with the decentralization and NFTs. So a similar kind of thing now. Now OpenSea is banning countries in certain jurisdictions, and again, everybody is jumping on the NFT bandwagon, but guys, OpenSea is a private company. Okay, it is a private company, and they have come to dominate the NFT sectors. So just think about these sectors that we are creating, and who we giving power to. Okay, so it's easy for people to shut their eyes and think, I'll go to OpenSea because that's where all the buyers are, which is fair enough from that point of view. But there are solutions out there that allows you to do similar things without again giving your power away to a third party. Okay, this is why I'm bringing up this news for you to have a look at. And a couple more things, and then we'll go on to question. I mean, this is the new thing that you're going to hear more and more, because this fact about Bitcoin being bad for the environment is a lot of rubbish. But obviously, he's taken hold in the news and in the general population. They think that Bitcoin, because they use a lot of energy, it's bad for the environment. Now, the response of the Bitcoin mining sector to it is to move to clean energy sources. So this is an example of Genesis, which is again a Bitcoin mining company, that plans to create a 100% clean energy mining center in Sweden. I mean, this is obviously just one country's one project. But there are, for example, there are talks in New York of banning all Bitcoin mining for 3 years. So this is taking hold, this idea, and again, this is kind of like fake news and misinformation that is then taking hold and being used by people to make decisions based on wrong assumptions. Okay, so it is important as well that the sector speaks with a unified voice and shows and broadcasts examples like this, where because we know now that a lot of the Bitcoin mining is moving to clean energy sources, and because of the way it works as well, the Bitcoin mining companies are their own power sources, or they move into work in conjunctions with power generation. So they are doing deals all the time with clean energy sources, and we will see that within a few months, Bitcoin mining will be mainly based on renewable sources. And the last thing, which is, I just want to bring it to your attention again, because I know there's a lot of people from a lot of Aussies here as well that come and listen to the crypto hours. And now, let me say, at least 3 million Australians own some form of crypto assets. So again, and we're talking about here 11% of the population then that owns crypto assets. So in a way, this is happening whether we like it or not. And obviously you already like the space if you're here listening to this. You come here on a Friday morning, but it kind of, we get into numbers now that cannot be ignored and cannot be restrained anymore. Okay, because both from the industrialized world and the developing world, from both sides, everybody has seen what is possible to do, and as people see what is possible, then more people want to be involved and do something connected with it. I don't have something to share with you because it just came back into my mind. But one of the things that's more interesting, again, talking about Cardano, is that they have started launching a peer-to-peer lending service in Africa. Okay, so we're talking about here microfinance. So people, they are trying to get a loan for a few $100s that it takes them to maybe start farming a plot of land, so they can buy seeds and they can buy minimal equipment so they can tend the land and things like this. Now, obviously, you might not be aware of it, but the rates of interest that are paid for microfinance are eye-watering. Okay, so we're talking from 40% upwards. Generally, with the average being around the 70-80% mark. Okay, so by allowing something like a peer-to-peer system that they're trying to develop into a proper product, you can imagine that somebody from the UK, from the US, from Australia, from many countries where you've got funds that, and you got possible investments where to put your money, this could be a potential as well, because if you could invest in something, you could get, I don't know, maybe a return of, let's say, 20%. Which is obviously vastly more than we can get anywhere else in the financial and banking sector, then we could also do something good with that money and give it directly with somebody that will take this loan, put into good work, and then pay back the interest over time. And although it's, you might think there's something like 20%, it's still kind of like a great return, but it's also a great return for them, because that makes a difference between paying maybe 50, 60, 70% to paying 20%. So it's one of those win-win situations that then would create a what's it called, a virtual cycle, because then you will get capitals that get attracted to the places where they are really short of capital, but also that capital will stay in this country. So an African country where up to now maybe where some of the biggest experts have been natural resources, so basically the people are taking the resources of the countries away from where they are, that now are invested in the community and being kept in that community. So helping the community come up and become richer at the same time. So it could be something that it's really one of the things that will bring developing countries on towards reducing the gap with industrialized countries. So this is one of the reasons why I'm so pro cryptocurrency and why I am in this space, because I really think it can change the world. And these are the kind of initiatives that can do that can take us from where we are now to the kind of like utopia of everybody having equal access to opportunity, equal access to the financial system, and being able to be on a par, whether they were born in in Westminster in central London, or they were born in a remote village of South America or Africa or Asia or anywhere else in the world that is considered kind of not on the same level as the industrialized countries. Okay, so I think I'm going to be over the alpha. I've almost like 3/4 of an hour today. So let's stop the sharing and let's take some questions. So was I sharing or not? Doesn't look like I was.
Yes, you've been sharing.
I was sharing. Sorry. I
there are a few questions in here, Luca, to quickly skip through. I've been asking for questions based on the things we've been talking about, because I didn't mean to be flippant or anything, but what I actually said was it's not every week we get a Russian invasion. So I thought there might be a few questions around, the particular situation that we've got at the moment. Anyway, let's have a little look, because I know you haven't had a chance to go through there. Eric would like to know, when I want to pay for a coffee in Lugano, and Eric is in Switzerland, do I get a Binance or Coinbase Visa card to do so? How's it going to look?
That's a good question. I don't know exactly what the specifics are, but generally, you wouldn't need a Visa card. You would just need basically a wallet on your phone that you can tap away. So the same way that you can now do kind of like Apple Pay, let's say with your phone, you'll be using a similar, I imagine, a similar app on your phone where you can just pay in cryptocurrencies, or the retailer will tell you, well, how would you like to pay? And it would say, well, I like to pay with Bitcoin, and I'll give you the price in Bitcoin. Or if I like to pay with the local currency, this Lugano coin that's being launched, you can pay with that. So that is how I think is going to happen, rather than having a card. Okay, so that might be wrong. I haven't looked at all the details, so that I think I will look at that in the next few days, because it's really interesting for me too. Okay.
Pierre's raised an interesting point, or it's got quite a nice question. At first I wasn't sure, but I'm going to read it out because I think it's something that probably relates to a lot of us, Luca. Pierre's talking particularly about ADA. I bought ADA at 121, thought it was a bargain. Then I bought more at 110. Then I bought more at 99 cents and yet more at 91 cents. And my money's run out. So what do I do now?
What you do now, you start putting it to work, Pierre. You just go on Sunday swap. You can get about 97% now on your radar if you provide if you contribute to one of the pools, liquidity pools, for example, with ADA in Sunday swap, or there are some other tokens as well that are incentivized. But so at the moment you can build your thing, or you can just stake it and in a staking pool and get ADA rewards. But I mean, for me, I've got lots of ADA in my account. I'm kind of like Cardano heavy in my cryptos. And for me, I'm seeing it as a long-term investment. So I tend to use my ADA in the Cardano community, either directly staking to get more ADA and growing your growing your stash in a way, or investing in some of the projects in the community. So there are many new projects. I mean, now the ecosystem of Cardano is really booming, and you can go on Cardano Cube and check all the projects on Cardano. They now recently they had to change the app so that because they couldn't all fit into a screen. So now they got two separate screens, one for NFTs and gaming, and one for all the other projects. But this is how what I would do. And I mean, if I were you, Pierre, I would take the money away from an exchange and transfer it onto a Cardano wallet and actually deal with it directly from your wallet, because what we've seen recently as well, and the CEO of Kraken has also said that, you know, if the authorities came to them asking them to freeze accounts and control accounts, they would have to comply. As simple as that. They have said they'll be very, very plain, very, very plain about it. So if you care about your funds and the security of your funds, the best way is to to secure them in your own wallet and get yourself maybe a cold storage wallet, and you can. I've got my Cardano wallet connected to my ledger, so I need to authorize any transaction with my with my ledger before going ahead. But it's it's 97%, Tim, not 9.7, 97 at the moment on some of the incentivized pools. But yeah, so these are the kind of things that are possible. They are possible in and not just in Cardano, but there are many different many different projects in other chains where you can get high returns in decentralized finance.
There are a couple of quick questions that we can come to in a minute. Maybe, well, quick one from Tim. Is it Bank of America that owns MetaMask?
No, it's Consensus.
Okay. And then one more, and we'll come to Dimitar, who's going to unmute himself. I can't remember your Christian name, iPad. Gil. Saying that we thought that Link and Light were good at certain functions, which I can't remember what they are. But what's the difference with Luna between Link and Light and Luna?
Light. Imagine you're talking about Litecoin. Is that? Or I don't know. I'm not quite sure what you mean by Light.
I'm a bit lost when they get out of context, if I'm honest, guys.
Yeah. Link is a completely different thing. Link is an oracle. So what does an oracle do? Basically, a smart contract is blind. Okay, a smart contract is just saying, if X happens, then my action would be Y. Okay, now who tells the smart contract that X happens or not? That's an oracle. Okay, so we might say, I don't know, example. Let's have a bet that it will rain, as it always does. I mean, it's not a bet that many people will take on, but on the first day of Wimbledon. Okay, on the Wimbledon tennis tournament. So we could have a smart contract that says, if it rains on the first day of Wimbledon, then this money gets paid to Luca, and if it doesn't, then the money goes to Duncan. Okay. Now, who tells the smart contract if it did rain or not on the first day of Wimbledon? Okay, that's something like Chainlink that has data about many different events in the real world, whether it's the price of commodity, price of stocks and shares, and or any other things that you can encode, and then sells that access to that data feeds to the smart contract platforms. Okay, so that's what Chainlink does in short, and many other oracles. And Litecoin is really a payment system. This is meant to be kind of the silver to Bitcoin's gold, in a way. But Terra and not just Luna, but Anchor Protocol and there are, Mirror and other projects in the Terra ecosystem are really in the decentralized finance sector, and they work. They created a stable coin and a way for people to get stable returns out of the investment. So they want to be an alternative to using your bank. So it's a way of unbanking yourself in a way. All right. So that's the difference. Alex, did you want to?
I think Dimitar's been waiting for quite a while to ask a question.
That's Alex.
We bring him.
Alex Dimitar. Thanks. Look, I've got two very quick questions, which probably you can queue in literally 2 seconds. One of them is, can you share the peer-to-peer project that you mentioned that Cardano is doing? I would imagine they've got a website or something that we could go and research a little bit more.
It was just announced by, but there isn't. I'm not quite sure that there is a website yet, because at the moment they haven't developed a product yet. So it's just been done by IOHK, which is the company behind Cardano. I don't know, Jonathan, do you have any details about it by any chance? I don't know if there is a link or not yet.
No, I don't know.
I mean, if
specifics. There was a blog post from last year about it.
So we can't hear you. You're too low.
Oh.
you probably have something on the microphone.
So there we go. Volume, that helps. Yeah, I don't know specifics of current progress, but there's a blog post I can refer to from last year.
That would be great, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'll
share it in the, either here or in the community. That would be great. I just want to start observing it because it sounds like a very interesting one.
Yeah, and there was a news release because it's John O'Connor, which is the the Cardano guy in Africa. There's actually launched this project. I think there was an article as well from a few days ago. Now I did come across the article. I don't remember where it is. I'm not quite sure if it is on Medium or somewhere else. But if you go on, also the best place to find these things, go on Twitter and just put a few different terms for Cardano in Africa. It should come up.
Okay, cool, awesome, thanks. Because I know UK is big on peer-to-peer stuff, and I think this is coming here as well at some point. So I personally would be very interested in researching on it. The other question, Luca, was back to that massive green candle that we experienced on the 28th, and we've had a few of these the last couple of months. Is there a way when this happens to go and see somewhere on the blockchain from where those buyers are?
Where the location? I'm not I'm not a blockchain expert in Bitcoin, but obviously you can go on a Bitcoin block explorer to see the activity on chain. I'm not quite sure how you go and geo locate the different trades. To be honest with you, that is beyond my expertise. To be honest with you.
Something to research on. Okay, cool. And the last one is, so I think most of us here invested in the Sunday swap. Some of us probably know a bit more than what they're doing there. I'm certainly not one of those. Would you have a couple of words to just say, if you're on the Sunday swap, if you've invested already and delegated into a pool, what do you do on an ongoing basis to be a bit more proactive in it?
Well, I mean, if first of all, go and collect your tokens. You can get your tokens at the moment. They're being distributed through drip drops, so you can go and collect your tokens on there. I did it the other day. Actually, on the second day, I was expecting to find a lot of traffic and to be difficult, but it wasn't. Actually, it was fairly straightforward. So you can go and collect your tokens, and the next thing, if you want to put them to work, then do put your, obviously you got some free tokens. Put the same amount of ADA on the other side, and then provide some liquidity, because then you can start accumulating as well rewards at a faster rate that you can just by getting rewards on ADA. Obviously, there is some risk involved in the sense that, and it's not just Cardano, but there's also Sunday swap. So Sunday swap token can go up and down in price, and we don't know what's going to happen. But by looking at what's happening in other blockchains, when they launch their main decentralized exchange, like Uniswap, like I don't know, QuickSwap for Polygon, or PancakeSwap for the Binance Smart Chain, and so on. So the main DEX on any chain is generally done very well, and we've seen that most of the liquidity on Cardano, for example, at the moment, there's only a few projects, okay, but most of the liquidity is in SundaeSwap, although there are other projects like MuesliSwap that launched before them. So that's the thing. I would recommend.
Okay.
And if you want to take part in the community itself, then you now are a token holder. So I would encourage you to take part in Catalyst, and there are sessions going on every week, and you then connect to the community. By Duncan, you can connect to the community and see. You can go through and listen to Idea Scale to see what projects people are talking about, and you can even start voting as well. I'm not quite sure. Jonathan, can you tell me, that there are some rewards as well for voting, for example?
Yeah,
do you know what those are? So that we can tell people if they want to encourage them. Not that you would need an encouragement to vote, but there is one.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a small reward for voting, but you do get ADA given to you if you participate in a fund round. And we're on Fund 8 has just launched. So the new project proposals are going in over the next 2 weeks. And then 3 weeks after that, you get to vote. Yeah, you get some rewards. So it's simply a matter of going into logging into the Cardano.ideascale.com platform, registering to vote, getting the app on your phone. And there's some hoops to jump through, but then you're guaranteed some ADA at the end of it. So it's, it's not, it's worthwhile. And there are plenty of other opportunities for earning within the Cardano community that I share on.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, last time when you had your project on Fund 7, I think it was too late for a lot of people to register for voting by the time we knew. But is your project still there in Fund 8? Are you still?
It's morphed somewhat. So I've been asked to join to bring the sort of integration in with Stakeboard, which is a huge project that got voted on last time. So that's very exciting. And so I'll be participating with them for that part of the project. But there's a couple other things as well that as Eric Dono's from Genius U community, he's asking to collaborate on a project as well. So there's things bubbling, things brewing. It's good.
Good, but you say now that we can say, so if for any of you that have Cardano that want to vote, now you can register to vote. So if you have anything that you can, you would like us to vote for, then we're happy to have a plug. So just put the link in there, and we're happy to vote because now we can do it. Okay, and there's a reason to do it as well. So, any other questions, guys? I don't know. I haven't read. Sorry. I haven't read through the old chat because I've been doing things. But any question they have jumped through is Julie. Now, Hyperverse. I don't normally like talking about projects. I've got some money rules. They're connected with the people that are involved in certain projects, and there are. Sometimes when you think about crypto, there are many ways that you can make money. But I think is it all about money or not? I mean, for me, I link crypto with purpose, and the same way as you wouldn't get into property and then trying to flog somebody a property that has some structural problems and you want to sell it without trying to hide those problems. The same way, I don't like entering into projects simply because of money. And let's put it that way, without talking too much. I say the people behind Hyperverse haven't really covered themselves in glory. Okay, so do your own research, please, and do some googling. But it's something that I've looked at in the past and I feel very uneasy about. It doesn't mean that it's not a good project or you don't want to do it. For me, it's difficult to get information about it. Some of the people have been involved in known things that have gone wrong before. So I don't know. I don't know. You can, if you do try, and it's up to you, do it with very, very light feet. So I'm thinking, and this is generally when you are wanting to use some of, because sometimes I know I've got my kind of like gambling money in crypto as well. I've got some money aside that sometimes I can put into projects, and I don't know really if I'm going to lose it all 100% or not. But it's a small pot that I can use for this thing. Whenever you use that kind of approach towards a project, make sure that the first thing you do is your capital as soon as you can. And then if it works, if the money is still there and it does anything for you, then great. If it doesn't, at least you got your capital back. Yes, I'm not, you know, I would say I'm not 100% in love with the project, whatever people may say about the money that is generating. Okay, that's my feeling behind it, but you know, perfectly happy to be proven.
I was a bit uneasy about it myself. So I just thought I'll just ask your opinion whether you'd heard of it. Obviously, they're doing a lot of promoting, and that makes you worry.
Yeah, no, definitely, and you know, it's you know, at the end of the day, this is not, you know, this is not a game. At the bottom of it, at the bottom of any investment and any project, you know, there must be a business rationale. So, you know, I feel, you know, and often many scams are connected to people think, you know, deposit $1,000 and then within 3 months you're a millionaire. Now, if you really could do that, generally, you know, with a business case, then you wouldn't be offering to people. That's my view, and I'm not talking now about, I don't know enough about Hyperverse. Okay, I just know a little bit of it, but I'm talking about other things. You know, I've had people contacting me on social media and other things, and trying to sell these fantastic things. You know, that are obvious scams. But this, at the end of the day, just put it to a reality check. I'm thinking, well, if you put, let's say, $5,000 and within 3 months you got like, I don't know, 300,000. I'm thinking, well, why do you need my $5,000? Put your own money in there, and you don't need anybody else, because within a year you're a multi-millionaire. So why do you need to attract other people to it? And generally, often it is, you know, there are even projects that are out there. I know that Hyperverse have got a token, and you know, there are things, even projects that are out there. You know, many Ponzi schemes in the past have been very successful, you know, while they were going. But successful in what way? Successful in attracting capital, because once you stop attracting capital, then you see, okay, has the project enough funds to generate returns for the investors or not? Or are the funds coming from the newcomers? Because if that's the result, yes, people, you know, in any scam, there are people that get away with funds, and even some of the scammed, in a way, people that joined will get more than they put in. It doesn't mean that the project is, you know, as a long-term outlook that is positive. Okay, this is so I generally try to not look too much at project like this, just money making for, you know, per se, but just trying to look at projects that are creating something good for the benefit of everybody. It's not just like a gimmick to, you know, to make money in the short term. Having said that, you know, I know that there are people that will swear blind about many of these projects, so I'm not going to get into an argument with anybody. But that's my personal decision. Okay. Okay. Anybody else that wants to ask a question before we close the room? Okay.
Luca, I was thinking it'd be perhaps useful to say about the MetaMask geo-blocking situation, is that puts question marks around decentralization in lots of people's minds. But in fact, MetaMask is purely an interface onto the blockchain. And even within MetaMask, you can change the network that you're using to view the blockchain. So if you're connecting through Infura, which is where the blocking has happened, you can switch the network behind it to access via Binance Smart Chain or any other chains out there. So there's still access to decentralization from any of these wallets.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. I didn't want to go too much into the detail, go into deep technical, because then you lose everybody.
Focus,
I just wanted to raise the point of making people understand that to look a little bit deeper whenever you use anything, because of many of these projects, and again, a lot of people have been talking about NFTs. From a legal point of view, at the moment, NFTs are a bit of a nightmare, because depend. I mean, I'm not talking about Cardano; it's its own solution, which is different. But I'm talking about especially the Ethereum NFTs, because what you own is you got the right for something that is stored on a server. So what is stored on that server is not encoded in the NFT. So you don't know what your rights say. Somebody got into that server and changed the NFT that you bought for whatever, 270 million pounds or whatever it is, this silly money, and they change it for the picture of the cat. You couldn't say anything about it because you still own the right to that URL that stores your NFT, but nobody says what that NFT is. So this is talking about these things, about how decentralized some of these things are. Then we do need to look at the details.
Yeah.
Because it really, and those are the kind of things that you wouldn't hear mentioned on certain communities, but other projects, and this is why we talk so much about Cardano. We were lucky enough to have Jonathan here. There is a stake pool operator in Cardano, but generally because there are projects like the Cardano, like the Algorand, that do look at these details and do look at everything, so that they make sure that their platform is safe and sound before there are things out there. And we're not in a situation like we are in Ethereum, where last year we've had 10% of the funds in decentralized finance were stolen from users. I mean, is that a safe environment to work in? I don't think it is. So we need to talk about those details, because then we are the ones that end up losing access to our funds that we thought were safe because we listened to everybody else that said they were safe, but in reality they were not. Okay, so that's the thing I wanted to make you realize, that yes, do try stuff, do interact with things, but keep your eyes well open and make sure that that you do delve a little bit deeper into the details. Okay, that's where you find the faults in tools and in projects and so on. Do you consider Algorand a big project? What do you consider a big project? I consider Algorand as a groundbreaker in the same way that Cardano is. If you are thinking about proof of stake, then you should know that the Algorand founder is the person that came up with the idea in the first place. Silvio, which is an Italian, by the way, Silvio Micali. And again, you see, there's a difference of opinion in developing, especially with for cryptocurrencies. Both Cardano and Algorand use the same approach, which is a scientific approach. The kind of like Silicon Valley approach is different. You just let's go out and try stuff and then see what works. But the kind of the Algorand and Cardano are instead planning to create a safe monetary system that can power the world economy. Okay, whether it is big in terms of how many people are buying the Algorand coin today, how many people are buying the Cardano coin today, I don't really care too much. I do care about what they will be able to do in 5 years' time, and I know that Cardano and Algorand are two of the projects that are going to be there. in the future. Okay, so I do consider a foundational project. Yes, Cornelia, from that point of view. Whether big is a kind of like it's a gray it's a gray definition in a way, but yes, I do consider it. It's another project that I support as well with my funds too. Okay, they're developing again. They're a similar stage to Cardano. The ecosystem is growing in Algorand, but it's still at the beginning. Still at the beginning. So they're making a lot of deals with nation states as well. So Algorand is the technology that will run many central bank digital currencies, for example. So yes, it's really interesting. Really, it's a really interesting project. And by the way, it is also born out of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, which is a worldwide renowned center for innovation. So they got very good connections at very high levels with corporations, institutions, and nation states. Okay, so that's it about Algorand. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, Luca, with regard to the Google authorization key, where do we find that?
Sorry, what do you mean? The authorization? Google
if I lost the mobiles, for instance, that it's on, and I have to put it back again and go recreate it, where would I find the key to recreate it from or with?
It's when you first downloaded the app. You should have had a screenshot and tell you to please make sure that you store this so you can recreate the wallet, recreate the app in case you need to move it. If you don't have it and you want to make sure you have it, then I would probably start everything afresh and disconnect the two-factor authentication first until you make sure that you do have your recovery or the authenticator app. And it's not just Google, by the way. There are many authenticator apps that you can use. Make sure that you have got recovery in place first before you start connecting anything with it, because then you're in a whole lot of trouble if you lose that, and you can't recreate it.
So there should have been the 12 seed phrases. It should do.
It's a I don't use the Google Authenticator app. I've got different one, but it's generally a screenshot with a QR code that you can print out, and it's got a nice long code next to it to recreate it, from what I can remember. Okay, when you set up the authenticator for the first time.
Yeah, I just don't remember seeing anything like that to save. Otherwise, I would have.
Yeah, but you can download any authenticator that you like. I say, there are many different apps. I used, for example, the LastPass one, and you can make sure when it's still empty before you connect any apps to it. Make sure that you have the recovery in place before you connect it, and then as I say, you can have two different authenticator apps on your phone, and then if you're not sure that you got your recovery in place for Google, then go through and transfer the authentication to the app that you have authentication for.
Okay, and do you think it's safe to be able to download the tax details from Binance through their API key?
Yes, I mean there's two ways that you can do it. You can connect your exchanges through an API key, or you can download the transaction list and then manually upload the file onto the tax calculating software. Sometimes bear in mind that some of the API keys downloads for some reason are not complete. So I know that there was that problem, for example, on Coinly, and you might need to download the transactions instead and do a manual upload. Okay, so don't just trust technology for the sake of it, but do double check.
I did find the problem with Coinly as well. I noticed the transaction wasn't right.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. So if there is something wrong, you know, at the end of the day, it is your responsibility to file correct data for your taxes. Okay, so you can't just say, look, yeah, but Coinly did it wrong. You know, it's not something that your authorities will take very kindly to. So it's still your responsibility. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Oh, sorry, Dana, you're saying SundaeSwap ISO has finished. Yes, the ISO is the kind of like they were launching that, you know, their token, giving away to people that will stake in a particular staking pool, in particular staking pools. Yes, that is finished, and now they started to distribute in the tokens the rewards for people. What I was talking about this morning, Dana, is then you can use those tokens to provide liquidity on SundaeSwap. And at the moment, there are 3 different incentivized pools that pay 97% returns. Okay, so this is what I was referring to. But yes, the ISO is now finished, and you can claim your rewards through drip drops at the moment. Alex, which are the pools? I know that there's SundaeSwap ADA, Liquid ADA, and I can't remember what the third one was, but there's you can find it. They're at the top of the list once you connect your wallet and load the SundaeSwap app. Okay. All right then, guys. So let's call it a day for today, which we've gone way over the hour. The one thing I would say, before we close, is that be aware that at the moment the whole crypto market is highly volatile. Okay, so you know what happens is both as a result of the Russian invasion, and is also as a result of the sanctions against Russia. It's the fact that there has been that huge green candle. It doesn't mean that everything is great and rosy and Bitcoin is going to go to whatever 27 million next. Okay, so we can still, both scenarios are still open. You can still go up, we can still go down, and if everybody tells you that they know exactly what's going to happen, they're lying to you. Okay, so the only thing I can say is keep your eyes open. If you've got, if you're invested in crypto, and there are some of the tokens that start doing very well, then start taking some profits. Okay, start taking some money off the table. For example, you know, Luna at the moment is close to its all-time high. Then why not? If you got Luna in your wallet, maybe sell part of it and keep it in stable coins. So at the moment is I must say in times like this, in a way, it's cash is king, because fear gets everybody to generally, unless you live in Russia or Ukraine, that is, everybody kind of like tends to hold cash. So if you are worried about the market at the moment, then it may be a good idea to take profits where you can, and to have a kind of like stable coin, accumulating stable coins until you're confident and you want to re-enter the market. If you are like me, that don't worry too much about what happens tomorrow, but have a multi-year time frame of reference, and kind of like to be honest with you, I'm even looking at my portfolio on a daily basis, because I know that the coins they are selected are staying there, they're not going anywhere. So it is then, you know, now at the moment we are at a good time in a way, from where we know that the technology and the market will go in the future. So not giving any advice, but I'm just saying, think about your situation, why you want to be in crypto, and then act accordingly. Okay, so the what you're going to do with it is completely different, whether you want to make money in the short term, or if you think this is going to be, I want to unbag myself and I'm happy having my wealth accumulated in crypto because I know that this is the future, then is a completely different outlook. But think about it, think about your goal before you do anything, and don't just, the one thing I would say, one word of advice before we close the call, don't jump into anything with FOMO, simply for fear of missing out because somebody else told you that you can make a lot of money with this or you can make a lot of money with that. Just think about your individual condition, situation, what your goal is in the medium and long term, and then plan it coldly without listening to anybody else or to the news, but planning on, by having a clear plan of action of when you're going to enter, when you're going to exit, if that is part of your plan, and what actions you're going to do as certain, at scenario A, if everything goes well, scenario B, if things go badly. Okay, so have a proper investment plan in place, and then that will, support you in making decisions with crypto and also with other assets. Okay, so having said that, I would say goodbye to everyone. So don't spend too much time watching the news because that's depressing. But think about spending some time educating yourself. Okay, so goodbye everyone, and I'll see you again on next Friday.